All right, Chris. Well, thanks a lot. You obviously come from from an interesting perspective, having worked at the Pentagon. For people who just, are not following how government leaders are communicating each day, especially when it comes to military plans, how either normal or unusual is what Jeffrey Goldberg outlined in his piece?
So let me just take a step back for you here and explain how we communicate at the Pentagon. We have an unclassified system, which is like your normal emailing. On our unclassified cell phones, we had the ability to text message just like anybody else would. And then we had a classified system. It's called SIPRNet. And it operates like an email. It's basically an email, and you can have a SIPR cell phone. All of that is at the secret level. But you can't communicate between the two. So you can't send an email from your secret device to your unclassified device and vice versa. It's all maintained in one system. And then there are other more secure, top secret, et cetera, devices and capabilities that the Pentagon has. So it's very isolated and siloed what you're able to do. And so the fact that they were using a commercial text message device like Signal to communicate about very sensitive operational plans before those plans even kicked off is just simply unfathomable. They've said, it's evidence that of collaboration and a team working together for the good of America, or whatever they said. But I've been a part of plenty of those types of discussions when we're getting ready to conduct an operation. It all happens in a secure facility, over secure devices, in secure channels, not on Signal, not in places where our adversaries are lurking and potentially have access to.
I was listening to the Senate hearing, and CIA Director Ratcliffe repeatedly said that when he started at the CIA, I think he said Signal was downloaded onto his government computer or device of some sort, and that there are kind of clearances to use the app in certain ways. So, from your experience, is that accurate? And is there a scenario where high level officials like the CIA director could be using Signal, even if not talking about, potential military strikes?
I've never seen Signal on official devices. The executive branch has to operate under the Presidential Records Act, meaning that you have to record and store all of your conversations, all of your emails, all of the emails of that I sent when I worked at the White House a couple of years ago. Those will become public one day, and they're maintained and stored somewhere. We weren't allowed to have Signal on our devices at the Pentagon. I don't know if the CIA operates differently, but that wasn't something that we used. On occasion, we would use Signal to give an update on a scheduling matter, right? So on the weekend when I might not be checking my computer 24/7, I might get a text like, hey, a call popped up on the calendar for 2 o'clock. Make sure you're on it. That's the sort of stuff we discussed. We didn't discuss operational plans, targeting plans, what missiles and pilots and planes were going to be used to conduct a very dangerous mission overseas. That's for sure.
Some Democrats in Congress have said that this incident, warrants resignations or people being fired. I'm curious, just given your time at the Pentagon, do you feel that this kind of ranks high enough of a controversy that somebody should either be pushed out or step aside as a result? Or is this kind of a new example of the changing digital age that we live in, and it's like lesson learned, but you move forward and you keep going?
The safety and security of our troops should not be a partisan issue. So I don't understand why Republicans aren't just as outraged about this as Democrats are. We don't just classify information because we want to keep a secret or because it's interesting information or for any other reason other than the safety and security of our troops. These men and women are in the Middle East, are in the Mediterranean Sea, defending themselves on the daily, conducting very dangerous operations where they're taking out the enemy. And Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who likes to talk about how he's for the warfighter, put those warfighters at risk by putting that information into the chat. Nothing happened this time around. That doesn't excuse the behavior. There's a way to do this safely and securely and in a way that keeps the men and women who are serving our country safe. And this was not it. So yes, there needs to be accountability. There needs to be investigations and people looking into what happened and why. Because at the end of the day, it's about the safety and security of our troops. And they were put at risk by the careless actions of people like Pete Hegseth and the 18 other people on that chain who didn't speak up and say, hey, maybe we should take this into classified appropriate channels.
You've touched on this a bit already, but I want to just expand on it a bit more. This idea of, should it be considered normal that the Director of National Intelligence, the Vice President, the National Security Advisor, the Secretary of Defense are talking about something like this on any type of a group message? Can you just kind of put into layman's terms in your experience whether that was usual and, or if this is just completely out of the ordinary?
It's completely normal for a group like this to convene to talk about something as important as a mission to take out the Houthis. But those meetings take place in the Situation Room. Those discussions take place over secure, secret, classified email. Those updates take place on a secure system, not over a text message chain on phones that are likely being targeted by our adversaries. That's the key difference.
Is there anything else on this you want to add I haven't asked you about?
There's this suggestion that the information discussed was not classified, but the mere mention of an operation before the operation took place is classified. Any detail at all about an operation prior to that operation taking place is going to be classified. So the suggestion that this was declassified information or something like it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. Any mention of an operation in which our men and women are going to be taking to the skies to go defeat the enemy before that happens means that they're over the target while this information is out there in a declassified space. And so that's what we're talking about here. So I don't understand what the CIA director is talking about or referring to. Any sort of mention, no matter how small, is classified information.
I'll ask one more follow-up based
Yeah.
on that. From as I was watching the Senate hearing, and I have to go back because there were portions that I missed, so if I missed this, forgive me. But I believe it was not clearly stated if all the participants in the group chat were using either a personal phone or a government-issued phone. So how alarming would it be if this was happening on a personal phone, or I guess a phone that wasn't formally secured through their government role?
You have to imagine that our adversaries, like China, like Russia, and others, are targeting these people's phones, both their official phone and their personal phone. They've probably been targeting them from the moment that they were nominated for these positions, if not before, because of the roles that they've held in past lives. The information on these phones is valuable to our adversaries. And make no mistake, they're going after that information. And so we don't know if the adversaries were already in these phones and saw this information. If they didn't see this, maybe they have access to other information. There's a reason why we keep classified information siloed, to protect it from our adversaries, to protect the men and women in uniform.
Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage, and click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.